This is example 1 on page 532. Okay? We're going to skip A. That's just asking us to describe what's going to happen. The 1/4 would be change the amplitude. The 3 is going to change the period. The pi over 6 is going to do the phase shift. And finally, the 2 is going to change our sinusoidal axes. We're going to sketch the graph. So we're going to think about dab C. Okay? We know that our amplitude is pi over 4. Because our B value is 3, we know that our period is pi over 3. 2 pi over 3, sorry. Our period is 2 pi over 3. This is going to be our center line, is going to be at y equals 2. And the plus pi over 6 will move everything left, pi over 6. Now, because this one does want me to graph between negative 2 pi and 2 pi, what I'm going to do is draw out and label negative 2 pi here and 2 pi here. And now we're going to start with dab C. First of all, the D value is our sinusoidal axis. So we're going to go up 2, and with a red dotted line, label that center line at y equals 2. We are now done D. The next thing, A, is your amplitude. Our amplitude is 1/4, which is 0.25. So that means we are going to go up 1/4. I'm going to estimate that. I'll do it in green. That's not the best estimate, but this will go up to 2.25 and down to 1.75. Because I went up 1/4, which is 0.25, and down 1/4, which is 0.25. That will be my maximum and minimum values. Next thing is to label our period. Now, 2 pi over 3, I've labeled 2 pi on my x-axis. If I would divide that into 3 sections, can you see that maybe about here would be 2 pi over 3? Does that look about right? Maybe a little bit too far to the left, but not bad. That's my period. I need to take my period and divide it into 4 equal sections. So cut it in half will be pi over 3. Cut it in half again will be pi over 6, 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6. So now I've used my amplitude to get my max and my min. I've labeled my period and divided it into 4 equal sections. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw it temporarily with a dotted line for 1 period. So it's a coast graph. A coast graph starts at a maximum, then goes to the center line, down to its minimum, back to its center line, and back to the maximum. That's what it would look like. Just a tiny little graph right there. Now the phase shift says take everything and move it pi over 6 to the left. Now I've already labeled how much pi over 6 is, so if I go to the left, pi over 6, that'll go to negative pi over 6. This point here would go left pi over 6. The one on your center line would go left pi over 6. The minimum would go left pi over 6, left pi over 6, and left pi over 6. And our final graph will look like this, and it would continue and I'll just put arrows on that. Now, since this question did ask us for negative 2 pi to 2 pi, I gave a sense of what it would look like. Generally, this question will ask you just for one period, in which case what we did at the beginning with our dots there would be all you would need to show. So that's what the DAB C looks like. You do the first three and do a dotted line, sort of what it would look like. Okay? And then finally, you would shift afterwards. Just something to point out, if we turn back a page to our notes that we had before. Okay? I don't know how many of you put this into your phone as a reminder at 9:30 at night to always remember to factor out the horizontal shift or the horizontal transformation. Notice that this is factored out. If it isn't factored out, you're going to have to do that as a preliminary step. In the question that we just did, here, it was already, the 3 was already factored out. So we were fine. Okay, when you do your homework questions here, 3, 8, 9, 10, and 11, I will tell you that one of those questions, it isn't factored out. So make sure you check every single one, because one of them, it isn't factored out. Okay, so I'd like you, because this graphing is really important and now we've put it all together, I'd like you to take the next couple minutes to try question 3, then move on to question 8. In these homework questions, they often provide you a grid. I actually find it easier if you make your own grid for these ones. Working with the graph paper that's already there is sometimes more of a hindrance than a help. So for the most part, if you want to draw the same graph off to the side, you're going to find you're going to do better. Even if the question says on the same graph, draw, I would say draw it on a separate graph.